How long have you been in England? Are you staying long? Cyprus or how are you doing anyway? Oh, wonderful operation. And that's the ticker. It made a big difference. I mean, this fiasco about the deeds, the hotel being confiscated by the bank. It's impossible to get I can't get the name of the bank representative. I can't get the name of the representative. It's all hearsay about what might happen. The worst is that the bank is going to take over the whole building and sell it, except for those people who have their deeds, and they will have to pay a certain amount of tax, upwards of keep going back to the court and saying postpone it until 3 months' time.
mean, there's quite a few of us, so.
That's nice to see. Yes, we have met. We went to Lena and Sam's Yenahar party. That was a long time ago.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So this is our bus stop, but I live about an hour away, so
space.
yeah. So Joe's just finished
Drinking and maybe
fields placing by the till. Run, my child, run on by. No time to dwell in this pigsty. Round and round the park we go, relative repetition, to and fro. We all run the light, the darkness of night, the fragments of memory, but our eyes are light. Wow, don't you look gorgeous in your lush red dress and launches? Synthetic strawberry sticks to your tongue, satin sticks to legs, the glint of sun. Refractive index of sunglasses, overlooked, most occult. Rainfalls and sheets, not drops. Painted faces, teardrops. Sink or swim, the rat race. Bare chest, crossed in red lace. Text from your ex, meaningless sex. Oil spills soaked in our wings. Weighs us all down, these consumer things. Ecosystem of human society, the ugly side of human piety.
Hi everybody, there's more. Just a couple of things just to show you that life does actually go on, folks. In the event of a fire, look out for Richard down there at the back, and he will guide us out here. Oh, thank you, over this way. And the other thing is, have you all got mobile phones? Fantastic. There's a QR code you can scan, but for God's sake, turn them off right now. You know, put them in silent. That'd be fantastic. The chapel is just out here and down to the side. If those of you want moments of quiet reflection and prayer, it's open. Thank you so much to Steve Hill for allowing me to do that. So if people want a bit of quiet time, it's there. And throughout the presentation, we're sharing with you some of the work that Noah had done over the years. All the writings and quotations are from the Baha'i faith. Noah was a Baha'i and very much inspired by the Baha'i faith, so all the writings are from the Baha'i faith. I just want to say a couple of quick things, because really everything will explain itself. That you know, they say in presentations that you should put things in threes, 3 words, 3 groups. So in true Noah style, I'm going to give you 4. Okay. And the first word I want to say is enigma. We will probably spend years trying to figure out the enigma that is our son. Truly. I know every parent will say that, but certainly it is the case of Noah. All this amazing wealth of creativity that he put out. And that is the second word, creativity. He had this extraordinary amount of creativity that, again, we will be tapping into for years to come. Don't be afraid of your creativity. It's so important in a world that's got really big problems right now. We need creative people. Our education system, thank you so much, Wellingborough School, does a lot of great work in these arenas. Creativity, we could all try harder. The third word is sorrow. Don't be afraid to be sorrowful. It's so important. Sorrow and grief are just part of living, folks. Embrace them, don't avoid them. They just get a lot tougher when we try to do it alone. So, embrace it. And the final word I want to give you is service. As with a lot of traditions and faiths, service is so important. And a lot of you have been saying, if there's anything we can do, please let us know. Well, there is. We just want you to go away from today, hopefully inspired, a little tearful, a little uplifted. But think of a service that you can do in Noah's name. That's it. So just think of one thing that you think you could do that could make a difference to somebody else, that would, in a way that you could be of service to somebody. And in that way, you can support us. Okay. So that said, let's carry on. Oh, I'll just say one other thing which is apparently from a hard point of view, you can read someone's electromagnetic field from about 1 meter. That's 3 feet, by the way, for Brexiteers. Okay, away from the body. So enjoy each other's heartbeats today. Okay, feel the connection. Do we want to fill these seats here? We've got 4 seats here that could do with filling, everybody, and we'd love if some volunteers just come down here. It just looks nice with 4 seats. Please, Rebecca, if you want to come down.
O Son of Man, be thou content with me, and seek no other helper. O Son of Man, be thou content with me, and seek no other helper. For none but me can ever suffice thee. For none but me can ever suffice thee. O Son of Man, be thou content with me, and seek no other helper. O Son of Man, be thou content with me, and seek no other helper. For none but me can ever suffice thee. None but me can ever suffice thee.
There is a garden of God. Human beings are trees growing therein. The gardener is our Father. When he sees a little tree in a place too small for his development, he prepares a suitable and more beautiful place where he may grow and bear fruit. Then he transplants that little tree. The other trees marvel, saying, "This is a lovely little tree. For what reason does the gardener uproot it?" The divine gardener alone knows the reason. You are weeping, but if you could see the beauty of the place where he is, you would no longer be sad. Your child is now free, and like a bird, is chanting divine, joyous melodies. If you could see that sacred garden, you would not be content to remain here on earth. Yet this is where your duty now lies.
O God, my God, bestow upon me a pure heart unto a path.
O God, guide me, protect me, illumine the lamp of thy heart, and make me a brilliant star. Thou art the mighty and the powerful of the Baha.
Your children are not your children. They are the sons and the daughters of life, longing for itself. They come through you, but they are not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. Give them your love, but not your thoughts. They have their own thoughts. They have their own thoughts. You can house their bodies, but not their souls. For their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. Strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you. Strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and the daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, though they are not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. Give them your love, but not your thoughts. They have their own thoughts. They have their own thoughts. House their bodies, but not their souls. For their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. Strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you. Strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you. Your children, your children.
When Noah was very small, a toddler, Bev would take him to a Steiner playgroup. I once went too and saw the big, light-filled room with its wooden toys, a sand tray, water play table, teacher telling stories with little felt dolls. The children who went there were so small, they only had a few words. They might know the word for doggy or dada. Noah played at the water play table, and out of the wet he drew a fishy-shaped sponge. Whale, Noah pronounced. The word drew admiring glances from a few of the mums present. Ooh, he knows whale already. Noah felt around in the water again and drew out another wet, fishy shape. Humpback whale, he said to no one in particular. A few jaws dropped open. These mothers were beyond impressed. A third time, Noah reached into the water and brought out another colourful, dripping, fishy shape. Humpback whale with barnacles, he said. Noah loved all creatures, great and small, dogs, insects, turtles, dinosaurs, and he loved words. Bev, being an ultimate wordsmith, writer, actor, had a huge lexicon of them to delight him. Before Noah could even speak, he would sit in the back of the car, strapped into his baby chair, and Bev would test out words on him to see how much he would be entertained by their sound. Poop would always get some good chuckles. Then a pause. Bollard. 79% on the chuckleometer. Wait for it. Popocatepetl. Off the scale laughter. One year at the Arts Academy, Noah was particularly entertained and attached to a certain phrase, and he would ride around on Aidan's shoulders, and Aidan would say this phrase and Noah would laugh, and then Noah would repeat the phrase and he would laugh again, and then they would both say it together. And so our memories of the Arts Academy that year came with the Aidan Noah soundtrack of "There's a moose loose about this hoose." When he was about 8 years old, Noah presented me with his first business card. It said, Noah Matthews, inventor / playwright. It had a graphic of a rocket taking off with explosions behind it. On the back, I wrote a list of the animations he had made. These small films featured Noah, plastic dinosaurs, and assorted bionicles. They had names like Wild Creatures, Scrat Visits the Queen, and Aqua Raiders Shark Roar. He continued his forays into film, age 9, starring in Colonel and Major, a Matthews Weinberg production with Rob as Colonel Rodney Thistleton Smythe and Noah as Major Dennis Cranberry Classic. Both had brilliant accents. Bev was the camerawoman, whilst Colonel and Major reminisced about the girls they knew before the war. Rob's moustache keeps falling off in the film because it's stuck on with sellotape. Kiri Takanawa provides an operatic soundtrack, and there's a note to say that no animals or bionicles were harmed in the making of the motion picture. Noah's talents were put to good use in the many school productions that he was so brilliant in, including a regional Irish accent as Farmer Bean in Fantastic Mr. Fox, and a marvellous East End gravelly gangster accent as Badger in Wind in the Willows. These school productions were such a treat to see and really wonderful. Those days witnessing Noah growing up were suffused with such warmth, love, quirky humour, and so much laughter. If Noah had added to his business card recently, he could have included scientist, anthropologist, spoken word artist, podcast maker, martial artist and yoga practitioner, violinist, chef, foreign language speaker, actor, dancer, and sketch artist. When I visited Aidan and Bev, soon after Noah left us, the house was full of people and prayers. As always, the front door was wide open to everybody, and lovely neighbours came in, bringing roses from their gardens, strawberries, condolence cards, tears, hugs, milk for tea, delicious meals. There was always someone different doing the washing up. The fridge was always full and people were always fed. Thank you for those gifts of sympathy, companionship, comfort, love, and service. Thank you for flooding the house with prayers for Noah, and please keep offering prayers in his name. Before I left that time, Aidan asked me if I would go upstairs and say a prayer in Noah's bedroom. It was an honour to set foot over that threshold into Noah's room. There was his dressing gown on the chair, that famous dressing gown he practically lived in. In fact, it's here today. I couldn't do it without the dressing gown. You can see Noah wearing it up there. His desk was covered in revision for his upcoming exams, socks rolled up in the wardrobe. There was an award with a star on it, probably for drama. A ball of t-shirt yarn on the floor with a new crocheted weaving just begun. I knelt on the floor in that peaceful room with the evening sunlight flooding in through the windows and offered some prayers. Afterwards, sitting there, a pot of unusual feathers caught my eye, and I remembered Noah as a page boy at my wedding, running up to me at intervals with my little niece, offering me feathers they found in the grounds, until my wedding bouquet was so feathered it practically could have sung. Noah's feathers in this pot were blue, some brown, patterned and speckled, some yellow. And as I looked at them, the word Icarus came to me. And you may remember that in the story of Icarus, he and his father find themselves trapped. They're locked in an impossible labyrinth. Icarus's father is determined to find an escape, and being very resourceful. He collects feathers that have fallen from passing birds, and he forms wings out of these feathers, and he sticks the wings together with beeswax that he finds in the labyrinth walls. He offers Icarus the wings in order to escape, but he cannot fly for him. A couple of things you might want to think about, says Icarus's father. Try not to fly too close to the sea, or your feathers will get wet and you will sink. Try not to fly too close to the sun, or the heat will melt the wax and you will fall. Icarus takes the leap and starts flying, fledgling-like, trying to find the balance. He struggles through the air, and in trying to navigate this unfamiliar element, sometimes he flies too close to the sea, and his feathers get damp. Sometimes he flies too close to the sun, and the wax begins to melt. It is sometimes difficult making the transition from adolescence to manhood. It is a tricky journey to make. And those of us who love Noah saw him in the last few years struggle to find his way between the light and the depths. A few days before Noah died, I saw a black line on my kitchen ceiling. When I put my glasses on and stood on a chair, I realized that it was a very hairy caterpillar. It had 4 bright yellow dots on its back. It would have appealed to Noah, this strange insect. He would have looked at it for a long time, as he used to look at insects when he was a child. Woodlouse, worm, ladybird, snail, water boatman, beetle. But this particular caterpillar was not moving. And after a day or two, I realized it was weaving its cocoon, taking control of its transformation into a different existence. The cocoon was translucent, and you could see the caterpillar shedding its long hairs, preparing to change into a new being, completely different to its previous existence. And we know when the time is right, it will emerge as a winged creature, strong in flight, beautiful in color, no longer needing to crawl laboriously through the world, but glorious, light, and free. Thou art now a bird of heaven. Thou hast quit thine earthly nest and soared away to a garden of holiness in the kingdom of thy Lord. I ask of God to draw thee ever closer, hold thee ever faster, to rejoice thy heart with nearness to his presence, to fill thee with light and still more light, to grant thee still more beauty, and to bestow upon thee power and great glory. At all times do I call thee to mind. I shall never forget thee.
Hello, welcome back to the awesome collection of stunt moves. I am going to be showing you stunt moves, confusing to learn. Listen hard, or else you will get entirely confused. All you have to do is listen. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is, and what you've got to do is you got it? Come on. Okay, I'm going to show you everything I just taught you in this awesome DVD thing. Okay, let's go. Let's go. I like cassowaries.
This is a reading from Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. Mortal man, you have been a citizen in this great city. What does it matter to you whether for 5 or 50 years? What is according to its law is equal for every man. Why is it hard, then, if nature who brought you in, with no despot or unjust judge, sends you out of the city, as though the master of the show who engaged an actor were to dismiss him from the stage. But I have not spoken my 5 acts, only 3. What you say is true. But in life, 3 acts are the whole play. For he determines the perfect whole. The cause yesterday of your composition, today of your disillusion. You are the cause of neither. Leave the stage. Be reconciled. For he also who lets his servant depart is reconciled.
O well-assured leaf, be not vexed by the death of thy son. Shed thou no tears, sorrow not, neither be thou sad. For that nightingale hath soared to the supreme and illustrious rose garden, and that yearner hath hastened to the assemblage of the splendours of the day star of the world. That soul who was sore athirst for the sweet river have entered the sea of eternal blessings. If thou lovest him, be patient and endure. Nay, rather, give praise and thanks unto God, that hath attained so great an achievement, and obtained a measure of such evident grace as this.
Oh Lord, grant thine infinite bestowals. Oh Lord, grant thine infinite bestowals, and let the light of thy guidance shine, and let the light of thy guidance shine. Oh Lord, grant thine infinite bestowals. Oh Lord, grant thine infinite bestowals, and let the light of thy guidance shine, and let the light of thy guidance shine. Illumine the eyes, gladden the hearts, unlock the gates of true understanding. Illumine the eyes, gladden the hearts, unlock the gates of true understanding. Illumine the eyes, gladden the hearts, unlock the gates of true understanding. Illumine the eyes, gladden the hearts, unlock the gates of true understanding, and gather all the people beneath the shadow of thy mountain, and cause them to unite
Gather all the people beneath the shadow of their mountain and cause them to unite. Gather all the people beneath the shadow of their mountain and cause them to unite. Gather all the people beneath the shadow of their mountain and cause them to unite.
I've known Beverly and Aidan for about 30 years now. Aidan about 30 years, Beverly about 35 years. My son Danny, who just sang now, was born 16 days after Noah. And the two families spent a lot of time together when they lived in London. And we got very close, and Aidan and I, probably two of the only Baha'is I know who have a big love of football, so we often watch Champions League games for Manchester United and Chelsea, and often hug each other. And you know, they say that when someone leaves this world, it's very difficult. They're not aware of it. When someone leaves the world, they're not aware of it, but it's very difficult for everyone else. And it's the same with stupid people. That was a joke I thought would get a bigger laugh, to change the atmosphere a little bit. And it's backfired. Because I want to say that Noah was not a stupid child. Noah was one of the most intelligent children I'd ever seen. I just want to confirm that Sarah Percival gave a wonderful speech about his love of words. And it's now legend that Noah was at the Natural History Museum and was 3 years old, probably 2.5, was in his pushchair. And somebody said, "Oh, look at that dinosaur. It's a Tyrannosaurus Rex." And Noah said, "No, that's a Stegosaurus." And he said that in between popping his dummy out of his mouth. So I grew a little fascination with Noah when he was 3 years old, coming to play with Danny. And I wasn't there, but once he complained to Annabelle and to Beverly that Danny was not being obedient. And I was amazed that a child of 3 even knew the word obedient. And I don't know actually what happened, but I brought it up with Noah about 3 years later. I was with him at some high conference. And he was 5 or 6. I said, "Noah, do you remember when you were at my house and you said that Danny wasn't being obedient?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Why did you say that?" He goes, "Because he wasn't." So I thought, I'm going to get into it with this boy and show him who's boss. I said, "Noah, are you aware of the word snitch?" He said, "No, explain." I said, "Snitch is someone who sees someone else doing something wrong and they draw attention to it." And Noah said, "What's wrong with that?" And I thought, I don't really have a chance with this kid. So I tried to change the subject. I said, "No, would you like a biscuit?" And he now knows that we're in some kind of duel. He goes, "What have you got?" I said, "I've got Jaffa cakes." And he said, "That's not exactly a biscuit, is it?" I said, "Yes, it is. When you bring ginger nuts on a plate with digestives and Jaffa Cup cakes, they are biscuits." He said, "What does it say on the Jaffa cake box?" So I made my excuses and left. I was quite relieved when they moved to Wellingborough, because I no longer wanted to be an uncle to this child. I just wanted to be a blurry shape in the background. And then we've obviously, by staying in contact, Boxing Day last year, we spent a lot of time together. We went away, we had in Southall, we spent a day, and I sat next to Noah, and I found him to be, as a young man, very intelligent, very insightful, and very humorous. And in fact, was with him only 6 weeks ago when I had a show in Northampton, and we stopped off at your house. I think there was a Kelly that night. And I'll never forget, because Noah was was going through some difficulties. He wasn't speaking very much, but he was blow drying his hair. He had lovely, long, flowing blonde hair. And I went up to him and I said, "What are you doing with this long? You should never blow dry your blonde, long locks in front of a bald man. Why are you doing this? And what are you doing? The hair's dry. Why don't you stop it? If you see a bald," I was talking to him and he was smiling. I said, "When a bald man can put the blow dryer away, tie your hair in a bun and pretend that you don't have that much hair, it's offensive to me." And he hugged me and then he hugged Annabelle and I saw that he shut his eyes and I think he felt Annabelle's love, he felt my love. And there's something about him that I felt was there. And I really felt that he loved us and we loved him. And I have to say that, you know, for the last few months, I've been in a Baha'i study group with Aidan and Beverly. It's called Book 10. Every Friday at 7 a.m. there's a group of us who get together. At 7 a.m., would you believe? Wherever we are in the world, on Zoom, we get together. It's Aidan and Beverly, Annabelle, Wendy Moman, Farouche, Rob Weinberg. And these things, I can't explain too much. There's so much in this thing, Book 10. It's a Baha'i study class. But suffice it to say, it's about walking the path of service, in service to building stronger, more loving, peaceful and vibrant communities. And it really creates bonds of love between us. I love everyone now even more, although my love for Rob Weinberg has remained the same. My love for him cannot be more devout. My ardor for my love for him, ever since he lost his hair like me, I've just felt we've been brothers ever since. But it really is, it's a wonderful book, and I just want to share a tiny bit about what happened was, because when Noah passed away on the Thursday, we got a message that the Friday study group was cancelled, and I had no stomach to continue. I thought we'd forget about it for a few months. And then the week later, Annabelle said, "I think they're joining, Aidan and Beverly." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to join, I'm upset. There's no way." But they joined, and they joined the Friday after. And I just want to share with you the fact that they have joined. I just want to get this right. I did the Jaffa Cakes bit, and I got a bit of a laugh. Okay. What I want to share with you is that Aidan and Beverly came because that's what they wanted, and it's what they needed. And the whole book is about walking a path of service. And it's not about, and the point is we walk the path together. And it's not the I who walks the path, it's the we who walks the path together. And the path belongs to the community. So next Friday, I want you to know I will be there at 7 a.m. and it's a pleasure and privilege to walk the path with you too. Thank you.
There was once a lover, it is said, who had sighed for long years in separation from his beloved and wasted in the fire of remoteness. From the rule of love, his breast was void of patience and his body weary of his spirit. He reckoned his life without her as a mockery, and the world consumed him away. How many a day
He found no respite from his longing. How many a night the pain of her kept him from sleep. His body was worn to a sigh, and his heart's wound had turned him to a cry of sorrow. 1,000 lives would he freely have given for one taste of the cup of her presence, and yet even this was not within his reach. The doctors knew no cure for him, and companions avoided his company. Yea, physicians have no remedy for one sick of love, unless the favour of the beloved deliver him. At last, the tree of his longing yielded the fruit of despair, and the fire of his hope fell to ashes. Then one night he could bear life no more, and he left his house for the marketplace. On a sudden, a watchman followed after him. He broke into a run, with the watchman in swift pursuit. Then other watchmen came together and barred every passage to the weary one. And that wretched one cried from his heart and ran here and there and moaned to himself, surely this watchman is Israel, my angel of death, following so fast upon me, or he is a tyrant of men, prompted by hatred and malice. His feet carried him on, that hapless one, bleeding with the arrow of love, while his heart lamented. Then he came to a garden wall, and with untold pain and trouble, he scaled it. He saw that it was very high, yet forgetting his life, he threw himself down into the garden. And there he beheld his beloved with a lamp in her hand, searching for a ring she had lost. When the heart-surrendered lover looked upon his ravishing love, he drew a great breath and lifted his hands in prayer, crying, "O God, bestow honor upon the watchman, and riches and long life." For the watchman was Gabriel, guiding this poor one, or he was Israfil, bringing life to this wretched one. Indeed, his words were true, for he had found many a secret justice in this seeming tyranny of the watchman, and had seen how many a mercy lay behind the veil. In one stroke of wrath, the guard had joined one who was athirst in the desert of love to the sea of the beloved, and dispelled the darkness of separation with the shining light of reunion. He had led one who was afar to the garden of nearness, and guided an ailing soul to the heart's physician. Now, if the lover could have seen the end, he would from the beginning have blessed the watchman, prayed God on his behalf, and seen his tyranny as justice. But since the end was veiled to him, he lamented and made his plaint in the beginning. Yet those who journey in the garden land of true knowledge, since they see the end in the beginning, behold peace in war and conciliation in enmity.
world. This mortal world, and make me free from attachment to this mortal world. This mortal world. Until I find my peace of soul, until I find rest of conscience. Many like unto the make me like unto the
He is God. O fearless Lord, praised be thou for having kindled that light in the glass of the concourse on high, for having guided that bird of faithfulness to the nest of the Abba kingdom. Thou hast joined that precious river to the mighty sea. Thou hast returned that spreading ray of light to the sun of truth. Thou hast welcomed that captive of remoteness into the garden of reunion, and led him who longed to look upon thee to thy presence in thy bright place of lights. Thou art the Lord of tender love. Thou art the last goal of the yearning heart. Thou art the dearest wish of the martyr's soul.
glorify his station, sheltered him under the pavilion of thy supremacy, of thy supremacy, that he may plunge into the sea of light, in the world, in the world. Mysteries, the world, sea of light in the world. Cause him
and thy exalted rose that he may plunge into the sea of light. The world, of mysteries, the world, the sea of light, in the world of mysteries, in the world, the sea of light, in the sea of light, in the world, the sea of light, in the world, sea of light, mysteries. Oh Lord, glorify His station, glorify His station, glorify His station, glorify His station.
Hi everyone, nice to see you all. I have a pretty wonderful memory of my dear friend Noah, and I've had this memory to myself for quite a while, and I thought it's a nice time to share it with you so you can have this memory as well. Last summer, my brother Noah and I went to Scotland. We did something called the NC 500, which is the North Coast 500. So we drove up and, we spent about 7 days all over Scotland. I'll never forget, on the third day, we just left John O'Groats, which is like the northernmost point of the mainland UK. And we were about 100 miles west from John O'Groats. My brother goes, "Hey, Akim, there's a really good beach somewhere here. We should go there." And I go, "Well, do you know where it is?" And he goes, yeah, just on this road." We'll go, "Okay, fine." Noah's in the back thinking, "Oh no." Because they're all kind of single track roads in Scotland. We were driving along and there was a lorry coming the other way, and I go, "Oh God!" And our camping stuff is in the back, blocking the view. And Taryn's like hanging out the door, saying, "Yeah, a bit further." And I'm going, "Oh God, such a bad idea." Anyway, we make it down to this kind of parking space in the middle of nowhere. I'm thinking, where's the beach? I can't see the beach. My brother goes, "It's a bit of a walk down, don't worry." And I was going, "Yeah, come on, let's check it out." I go, "Fine." We walked down about 10 minutes to this pristine beach. I mean, pristine. The sand is just this glorious golden color. It stretches as far as the eye can see. It's just perfect. There was no one there. It was just us. We get down there, we take our shoes off, we take our socks off. We feel the warm, cushioning sand underneath our feet. I don't know whether it was impulse or instinct. We just start running. We just start running down the beach. Just start running. And I look back, because obviously I'm ahead, but I look back and I see Noah's face at this moment. And I see that smile again that we all love. That smile which I hadn't seen in such a long time. Smile back. And the sun was gently caressing his face. And at that moment, I thought to myself, wow, my friend's grown wings. He's grown wings. And I like to think now that those wings are permanent. The sun is always shining on him. And and he's at peace. He's in a better place. Noah, my friend, my brother, I love you. I miss you. I will never forget you. Keep soaring.
9 times the space that measures day and night. To mortal men, he with his horrid crew lay vanquished, growling in the fiery gulf, confounded though mortal. But his doom reserved him to more wrath. For now the thought both of lost happiness and lasting pain torments him. Round he throws his baleful eyes to witness huge affliction and dismay, mixed with obdurate pride and steadfast hate. At once, as far as angels can give views, the dismal situation, waste and wild. A dungeon horrible, on all sides round, as one great furnace flamed, yet from those flames, no light, rather darkness visible, served only to discover the sights of woe, regions of sorrow, doleful shades, where peace and rest can never dwell. Hope never comes, that comes to all, but torture without end still urges, and a fiery deluge, fed with ever-burning sulphur unconsumed. Such place eternal justice had prepared for those rebellious, and here their prison ordained in utter darkness, and their portion set as far removed from God and the light of heaven as to the centre thrice to that most pole. Oh, how unlike the place from whence they fell.
O thou provider, O thou forgiver, a noble soul hath ascended unto the kingdom of reality, and hastened from the mortal world of dust to the realm of everlasting glory. Exalt the station of this recently arrived guest, and attire this long-standing servant with a new and wondrous robe. O thou peerless Lord, grant thy forgiveness and tender care, so that this soul may be admitted into the retreats of thy mysteries, and may become an intimate companion in the assemblages of splendor. Thou art the giver, the bestower, the ever-loving, thou art the pardoner, the tender, the most powerful.
To consider that after the death of the body, the spirit perishes, is like imagining that a bird in a cage will be destroyed if the cage is broken. Though the bird has nothing to fear from the destruction of the cage, our body is like the cage, and the spirit is like the bird. We see that without the cage, this bird flies in the world of sleep. Therefore, if the cage becomes broken, the bird will continue and exist. Its feelings will be even more powerful, its perceptions greater, and its happiness increased.
Without your spirit, the immensity of space and traverse the expanse of heaven. Thou wouldst find no rest save in submission to our command. Humbleness before our face. But thou to speed through the immensity of space and traverse the expanse of heaven, yet thou wouldst find no rest save in submission to our command. And humbleness before our face, and humbleness before our face, and humbleness for our face.
I'll start off with a quote by Greek philosopher Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. To think so outwardly at a time like this can seem so daunting. To think how we can move forward when everything is making us think about what you could have done feels like an impossible task. To put that first foot forward is the bravest thing we can do. Life is like a series of waves. Some waves will be bigger than others, some will catch you off guard, while others you can see coming from a mile off. To learn how to keep afloat is an ever-changing task. Some days will be easy, and with others, everything will want to pull you down. To learn how to stay afloat, we must learn from the waves that have come before. We must learn to keep our head above water. We must know what made us who we are and who made us who we are. To never forget the people that made us who we are is the most human thing any of us can do. I thought about saying, for those of us here today, to just be more Noah, but I soon realised that may be an impossible task. So instead, I asked you to do something far more unique and special to each of you. Be more of the person that Noah made you be. Who were you around Noah? Channel that. If each of us can be more of that person, that is the most any of us can do.
Alive we pulse inside a womb, Mother Earth our house and our tomb. Smoky mists swirl, her tight nose curls, broken laces, melted faces, subtle in expression, bold in purpose. Blue heart, squeezed in torsion, real touch to separated divulsion, a people person, learn to love, pack animals, olive branch dove, leave behind the days, jettison them out into space. Lab-grown hope, smoking dope, her eyes are a work of art. A leg up still to play, will you? Salvia Shelley, crystallized net, the smallest bet, the giraffe, the penny, childhood dreams, limitless travel, putting in work, stones and gravel, caress of gold, the snitch of of old, what touches our lips, that which is told, upwards curve, out-competed, Darwinian treason, objective completed, give me a reason, show me the carrot, or if you show me the stick, let it be for fishing, for I wish to feed, not to believe myself driven. Where does music start? Inside us, or a separate part? Council culture, circling vultures, custard cream, reign supreme. Pouvez-vous regretter? Was your heart broken? C'était desynchronized, out of whack. I just got back from IKEA with a lack. I found out IKEA cuts down the forest for disposable furniture. Should I send it back? Student uprising, Manchester Gate, who controls our freedom because there are no fates. Deep dive into space-time travel, perceived as waste, grit and gravel, dentures. Learning now what power we hold in the palm of one hand, fingertips, cold to touch, smile, don't talk too much, reach in. You might like what you find, a horrific nature, a wondrous kind. Take me deeper, share me please, suffer me to catch this sweet, sweet disease. Adieu, farewell, mon ami, pour j'espère te voir in some hopeless dream. Godspeed, tunnel vision, send me to space, nuclear fission. An apple a day keeps the vaccines away. Please puncture my skin on a whim of alchemical immersion.
Thou art become a star in the supernal sky, and a lamp amid the angels of high heaven. A living spirit in the most exalted kingdom, throned in eternity. I ask of God to draw thee ever closer, hold thee ever faster, to rejoice thy heart with nearness to his presence, to fill thee with light and still more light, to grant thee still more beauty, and to bestow upon thee power and great glory.
I am, O my God, but a tiny seed, which thou hast sown in the soil of thy love, and caused to spring forth by the hand of thy bounty. This seed craveth therefore in its inmost being for the waters of thy mercy and the living fountain of thy grace. Send down upon it from the heaven of thy loving kindness that which will enable it to flourish beneath the shadow and within the borders of thy court. Thou art he who waters the hearts of all them that have recognized thee from the pretentious stream and the fountain of thy living waters. Praise be to God, the Lord of all the worlds.
He verily hath willed for you that which is yet beyond your knowledge, but shall be known to you when after this fleeting life your souls soar heavens, and the trappings of your earthly joys are folded up.
Worthy, O my Lord, by the nameless splendors of and come encompass the earth and the heavens to name. So to surrender my will to what thou hast decreed in thy tablet, that I may see to discover within me. In me desire exact what thou didst desire. Through the power of thy sovereignty, in me will save what thou didst destine. I implore thee, O my Lord, by the nameless splendors have encompassed the earth and the heavens to name. So to surrender my will to what thou hast decreed in thy tablet, that I may cease to discover within. In me desire accept what thou didst desire. The power of thy sovereignty, in me will save what thou didst destined for. Thy will, by thy will, by thy will, by thy will.
Hello, I'm Noah Matthews, and welcome to the podcast where we will take a closer look at nature and how it affects all of our lives. Today, we'll look at snow and reflect on its power to bring people together, looking at one day in particular during lockdown. Snowflakes settled, an ever-increasing layer of white. Late Christmas, New Year, a fantasy sight. The snow ghost. To me, it brings happiness, a crisp clarity. Everything lies bright before me. Screams of delight, children racing down the slopes of snow, smiling from ear to ear. Everything's all right. Snowmen populating the landscape, our alien neighbours. We did not have a proper Christmas, but we did have the snow day.
Snow is a force of nature. It's a harbinger of either hardship or happiness, depending on who you ask. But this year was different. This year we spent Christmas in a sterile lockdown, so when this wild white beast returned to the sleepy streets of Wellingborough, it had a powerful effect. This natural white dusting brought people out of their houses to express their creativity for maximum fun. One kid had tied his sled to the back of a bike and was wakeboarding through the snow. Snowmen buttoned up in a fine dress, and on the slopes people had sculpted ice ramps, perfect for airtime on a sled. All of this created an overwhelming sense of life. Jack Frost had breathed fresh energy back into each and every one of us and held our socially distanced hands to fill in the 2-meter gaps between us. Just as snow sticks to itself in a snowball, so it sticks us humans together through nostalgia of our shared childhoods, playing together and forming bonds in its burning cold. It rekindles the intuitive activities we did as children: sledding, snowball making, snowball fights. They rush back to us. Will the next generation have this bonding opportunity? Or will they miss out on this winter wonderland? This day was like seeing a wild stallion in the woods, a glimpse of the beauty that once freely inhabited our world and is now endangered. How bittersweet. We watch as our climate becomes less predictable and more volatile due to our over-exploitation of nature. So, what is to become of us if we seek to destroy the very forces that bring us together in times of crisis? Let's finish with the poem Snow by Louis MacNeice. The room was suddenly rich, and the great bay window was sprawling snow and pink roses against it. Soundlessly collateral and incompatible, world is suddener than we fancy it. World is crazier and more of it than we think. Incorrigibly plural. I peel and portion a tangerine and spit the pips and feel the drunkenness of things being various. And the fire flames with a bubbling sound, for world is more spiteful and gay than one supposes. On the tongue, on the eyes, on the ears, in the palms of your hands, there is more than glass between the snow and the huge roses.
Thank you.
Death of the Beloved by John O'Donoghue. Though we need to weep your loss, you dwell in that safe place in our hearts, where no storm or might or pain can reach you. Your love was like the dawn, brightening over our lives, awakening beneath the dark, a further adventure of color. The sound of your voice found for us a new music that brightened everything. Whatever you unfolded in your gaze quickened in the joy of its being. You placed smiles like flowers on the altar of the heart. Your mind always sparkled with wonder at things. Though your days here were brief, your spirit was live, awake, complete. We look towards each other no longer from the old distance of our names. Now you dwell inside the rhythm of breath, as close to us as we are to ourselves. Though we cannot see you with outward eyes, we know our soul's gaze is upon your face, smiling back at us from within everything to which we bring our best refinement. Let us not look for you only in memory, where we would grow lonely without you. You would want us to find you in presence, beside us, when beauty brightens, when kindness flows, and music echoes eternal tones. When orchids brighten the earth, darkest winter has turned to spring. May this dark grief flower with hope in every heart that loves you. May you continue to inspire us, to enter each day with a generous heart, to serve the call of courage and love until we see your beautiful face again. In that land where there's no more separation, where all tears will be wiped from our mind, and where we will never lose you again.
Death is nothing at all. It does not count. I have only slipped away into the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am I, and you are you. And the old life that we lived so fondly together is untouched, unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, that we still are. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak of me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes that we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without any effort, without the ghost of a shadow upon it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolute and unbroken continuity. What is this death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you, for an interval, somewhere very near, just round the corner. All is well.
Mrs. Girling, when Noah was in year 3, invited me to speak to the children about creative writing. And I remember saying to them that whenever they think of something, they must write it down, that our thoughts come and we must write them down, even in the middle of the night. Even if you get up for a pee and you have no paper, use the toilet paper and write on it. I mean, I said that to the kids. So I tell you that because I, in the middle of the night, wrote this, and it's there's all kinds of pieces of paper here. But I'm going to start with a Baha'i writing. O Son of Spirit, my first counsel is this. Possess a pure, kindly, radiant heart, that thine might be a sovereignty, ancient, imperishable, and everlasting. Noah had the most pure heart of anyone I knew, and that I'm saying that not just because I was his mother. He had a very pure heart and a truthfulness that was the very bedrock of his being. He never had a bad word for anyone. Noah and I had the most perfect birth experience. And on November the 5th, 1999, at approximately 4:45 p.m., Guy Fawkes Fireworks celebrated his arrival in London with a backdrop of our St. Thomas's window being and the Houses of Parliament being lit up, all golden as our view. There is a photo on here. Do have a look at this lovely little collection of items. Over Noah's short lifetime, he developed many intelligences. Academic. He was always a safe bet for prize day every year in the marquee, Mr. Holman. In these past 2 years, in particular, we saw his creative intelligence go to heights that now have our heads spinning. As we're being given all of these things, we're seeing them for the first time and listening to them for the first time. Above all, he was gifted with acute spiritual perception, an intelligence that is now beginning to emerge and integrate as a #1 requirement to be successful in life and to heal the ills of the world in our swiftly disintegrating world. And it's all good. Because as Baha'is, we know that this old world order, with all its creaking systems of competition and #1, must be rolled up, like an old, worn and moth-eaten carpet. And now we are finding ways to roll out a new one in its stead. Aidan and I are filled with gratitude. We are bursting with it. Firstly, I want to thank Noah with all those intelligences, beauty, and his exquisite balance of male and female qualities that rendered gender irrelevant because his heart was so pure. This current state of the world is just too much for such souls. I want to thank the Wellingborough Baha'i community because they're a shining example of what we all must do to strive and become true lovers, true family. From the moment we found Noah's lifeless body, our Baha'i family rushed in and held us up. An exhausting process. There were so many of them. Not one moment have we been left alone. It's been a global tsunami of love. In fact, yes, there's been 24/7 accompaniment, there have been meal rosters, and there's been dog care. And most importantly, there have been prayers. We say in the Baha'i writings that if we pray, we must pray for them. And they are praying for us, that there is a mingling of stations. I like the science of that. I like to contemplate the science of that mingling. I'm grateful, in fact, to all of our family and our friends, Canada, Ireland, Australia, England. Thank you to all who've traveled literally from the north, south, east, and west today. We have Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland, Scotland, England, north, south, east, west, and Wales. We have international friends that are on the live stream. Your actions are as beautiful prayers to us. We want to thank Wellingborough School. As Baha'is, we are guided to give our children the best education we possibly can. And we're really grateful that we had Wellingborough School in this town that we moved to. There's a saying, a Baha'i saying, where there is love, nothing is too much trouble, and there is always time. Just look at this, and they're about to feed you in a moment. So thank you to Andrew Holman, Richard Spivey, Jane Kiddle, and her hubby, who has written the beautiful calligraphy in the Book of Condolence at the back. You are all welcome to write in it, please. Steve Hill, Debbie Whitmore, Cole and Craig, and the team of IT here at the school. Kirsty Brim and her team with the catering. And all of Noah's teachers that inspired him. And I'm just going to name just a few. Mrs. Dry, Miss Holly, Mr. Furry in South Africa now, Dr. Monaghan, and of course Keith Hargreaves. We want to thank our tech team, Ashley, who's organized so many things here today, and the live stream. And Tom organized many things here, and the video you're about to see to end our celebration. And Alex Leith. These three gentlemen have a company called Ordinary Toucan. And what they do is they create content and digital marketing. And so you would not know that, just saying. Yeah. So I also I want to thank particularly Richard Lee, who you heard his beautiful music playing as you came in, and also he composed the music you're going to hear on this final video. But also he was a mentor to Noah, and he taught him violin. And he's been a mentor to many of the youth in our community, bringing music and joy. A number of people made and contributed to the visuals, hard copy of photographs, and also videos, and wanted to have them play today. But unfortunately, we couldn't put everything in. But thank you so much for those loving contributions. And I know there will be other spaces where we can see them. I want to thank the beautiful readers today, and the musicians, and the Yella Flower Power team. Yasmin? Okay. So I would also like to thank Aidan for being the best possible dad he could be. And may I say, can be, because we have work to do now, as he said earlier. And by this, we will find a purpose and a focus as we move forward to honor Noah's legacy. I've heard that already the Baha'i youth are creating social projects all over the UK in their summer of service, as they're calling it, where they will be reading their realities of all their neighborhoods and villages and working together towards its betterment. I feel so joyful at the thought of these beautiful, pure, selfless souls with their acts of love for humanity at large. Young people are ushering in a glorious new future for us. Thank God. Thank God. That unknowable essence of whom we must strive to know and worship through action and prayer. So, working on this theme of Noah's pure heart, and that is what he's attracted us all together today with, I leave you with a question. Aidan kind of pointed to this too. How are you going to move forward now, after today? Perhaps considering some action in Noah's name, some action that will be as a beautiful prayer. How will you reflect, and how will you strive even to purify your heart and to align your actions for the betterment of our world?
Make us as waves of the sea, as flowers of the garden, united agree through the bounties of life. As waves of the sea, as flowers of the garden, united agree through the bounties of thy love. And make all mankind the stars shining from the same lights of glory. As perfect fruits growing upon thy tree of life. As waves of the sea, as flowers of the garden, united agree through the bounties of thy love. As waves of the sea, as flowers of the garden, united agree through the bounties of thy love. And make all mankind the stars shining from the same light of glory. As perfect fruits growing upon thy tree of life. And make all mankind the stars shining from the same light of glory. As perfect fruits growing upon thy tree of life. Like guiding in darkness, love is light. Like guiding in darkness, love is light. So in the guiding in darkness, love is light. So in the guiding in darkness,
Are you ready for us, Kirsty? Yeah, thumbs up. So please enjoy some refreshments.
You've earned it.
I'm just feeling very strong in the video. I don't know why we